Welcome to Academy Live. Our guest today is Robert Pope, VP of Microsoft Business Applications at Pax8. He'll be discussing Pax8's OneCloud and Dynamics 365 Business Central. So let's bring him on and let's bring on Rex too.
Howdy.
Hey, Rex.
Man, I am so excited to have Rob on the show today. He has been working so hard on the Dynamics Cloud and how the Pax8 partners are going to leverage it. But I'm going to leave that to Rob. Why don't you go ahead and tell us where you are and maybe even what time it is?
So, hello everybody. I'm really excited to be here. Even though it is 8 o'clock at night, I'm in the UK and very excited to talk to you. There is another big event on at the moment, which is my favourite football team have just kicked off. Liverpool have kicked off their Champions League competition. So I'm still delighted to be here, though. This takes priority.
Of course.
Go Liverpool.
But yes, I might. You're keeping me up to late at night, which I know is probably a bit of payback for all the times that I keep all of you up and get you up out very early in the morning for your 6 o'clock call. So apologies, but I guess it's
like
payback.
6 a.m. like twice a week for his stand-ups on the Launchpad development. But it's all good because it's great stuff for partners.
Yes,
So,
it is.
Rob, will
Thank
you
you.
give us a little humble brag? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to Pax8 and what you do at Pax8 now.
So I used to work. I worked for 5 years for a guy in the UK called Piers Linney. He's a dragon, or was a dragon, on Dragon's Den, which I realise in the US you may not know that. That is basically the UK version of Shark Tank. I worked there for 5 years and set up an MSP called Outsourcery. I also worked at Microsoft for 5 years, and then was part of Bamboo Cloud, who Pax8 acquired 2 years ago. So I've had a long and checkered history around the MSP, Microsoft, and Dynamics world. And I think a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is really understanding what that brings to the table to our MSP community.
I'm looking forward to hearing all about it.
Should I dive straight in?
Go.
Yeah, let's take a look what you brought.
Yeah, so let's move on to the first slide. And I think a lot of this is, and the next slide actually, a lot of what I'm going to talk to you really about is not to see Dynamics as something that's too difficult and too hard. And part of this rationale is a big piece of work that at Pax8 we've been doing around partner value framework, not about necessarily by Dynamics, but how are we going to help you grow? How is Pax8 going to help you as a partner of Pax8 grow? How are we going to help you be more efficient, and how are we going to help you reduce risk within your organization? And what we know from that is really that the spread of revenue that you have within your organization is something that helps you grow faster. The partners that work and bill across all of the Microsoft clouds grow on average 30% faster. Now, we realize that that's quite difficult for many of you as MSPs as to how do you get to that position. And a lot of what we're going to do from a Pax8 perspective is help you get there. And if we look at the next slide to understand where Sachin Adela sees Dynamics, and actually when you look at your customers, where does Dynamics fit in? Dynamics, and particularly Business Central, that I'll talk about a little bit more later on, is at the heart of their businesses. It's something that every single SMB uses, a platform like Dynamics. Everybody has to raise invoices, get paid, buy the stock in that they use as part of their business. So every single SMB has this, and it's at the heart of their business. And Dynamics now is a platform that sits at the very heart of Microsoft's cloud. But we recognize at Pax8 that this again is often seen as being outside of the swim lane of a lot of MSPs. So how do we help you, and how do we understand the impact that it has on you as MSPs, and how do you start to address that as an MSP within your customer community? And if we look at the next slide, the Microsoft house is something that I think kind of shows a lot of this and puts it into context for you. And on the ground floor, or the first floor, as you may well say in the US, you see the different areas. Every single SMB in the world, all of the technology that you use, will fit into one of those rooms on the ground floor. Be it modern workplace, so things like Teams and Outlook and Word, and all of the components that they use for productivity. Microsoft clearly is very strong in that environment, but then we look at Dynamics in the business application space, where they may use things like QuickBooks or Sage or Xero. And actually, then we look across into applications and infrastructure, where we're looking at platforms like Azure or AWS or hosting platforms or even on-premise. And then we look at data and AI. Data and AI often being kind of the new kid on the block, but that really is platforms like Power Platform and Copilot, of course, and Copilot Studio. Now, when we look across all those four areas, as I said, almost every single SMB that operates will use technology that fits in one of those rooms. In fact, that covers pretty much all of it. And when we look at an SMB, for most of them, those components, Microsoft is the only game in town. Microsoft's the only provider that operates across all of those areas. We can look at business applications like people like Salesforce or Sage, but they don't have a modern workplace component. We can look at infrastructure, people like AWS, but again, they don't have a modern work or a business application space. We can look at the data and AI space, and again, Microsoft is the only one that goes across them. Microsoft used to call this the stack, but actually that's much more relevant now. It's actually one cloud, because all of those things work together. They're also part of the security posture. It allows you to protect them all with Entra and Microsoft security components and other components for that matter. But putting all of those components into the Microsoft cloud gives that SMB the confidence of the solutions they're looking at. And when we look at the next floor, the second floor, first floor, where we talk about how do we help those SMBs grow their business, the same messaging that we as Pax8 give out to our partners is actually the same messaging that the partners can use with their customers. This is how we're going to help you grow. How are you being more efficient? How do you reduce risks? In many of those instances, business applications is part of that. Business applications is the source of that data that allows you to know who are your customers, how do we sell them more, how do we become more efficient at what we are doing. And if we look at the next slide, this is where the numbers start to crunch very quickly. Because actually, when we look as an MSP, if we're only operating in the modern work and the apps and infrastructure space, we're only addressing approximately 50% of the IT spend of SMBs. So the other 50% that they're spending on technology is in that business application space and in that data and AI space. So Rex, what do you think of that, and where do you see that within our MSP community?
Well, I think that's why we were so happy to have you on, is to talk about, the 50% of the revenue that the traditional MSP is kind of losing, right? They're leaving to other providers to deliver, and of course, those other providers are moving more into the traditional MSP space, and that's why we're so excited in academy and professional services to help to create these programs to help our traditional MSP partner add business applications and data and AI into the way they deliver solutions to their partners. And I think I heard you say it 3 or 4 times, so they can increase revenue, increase efficiency, or reduce risk, right? That's the three motivators
Yeah,
that anybody makes a buy decision.
and I think actually there's an important part, and actually the next slide is a great example of it, because actually this is about the direction of travel. And one of the key things we talk about a lot, and everybody from an MSP's perspective, and everybody hears about AI, Copilot, Copilot Studio, and all of the other AI solutions that carry on there. And off the back of that, we all have heard this adage before: data is the new oil. But also, if as an MSP you want to move into that AI world, we know that the first thing we say to those customers, and also from our Pax8 professional services, is, well, where's your data? If you want to do really cool AI stuff, you need to have access to your customer data so that you can build agents that can help in the sales process, help in customer services, help the organization operate more efficiently. And a big point of that then comes back to, well, where is the data? For most SMB organizations, their finance platforms, their business applications is the oldest platform they have. it's also often quite insecure because it's usually the one that's been left behind. But crucially, when I talk to MSPs, and a big part about what we are going to be doing and what we are doing as Pax8 to help these partners, to help them move into this new world, is really then to understand what's the impact on revenue. And when we look at the next slide, and a conversation I have regularly with many, many MSPs is, actually, I know you perhaps are thinking that Dynamics is something that's a bit hard, it's a bit difficult, it's something that maybe you're not necessarily comfortable with. But actually, let's look at the things you are comfortable with. Let's look at where Dynamics is going to have a real, true impact on your business. And many of them want to sell more Azure, or more hosting, and more cloud platforms. But then when we look at that penetration and we start to look at Dynamics, and we know that Dynamics, the Azure penetration is 10 times greater in Dynamics customers than it is in Office 365 customers. We know that a customer who already has Azure, if we land the Dynamics instance into that customer, so in other words, that customer has an Azure estate, they've probably got modern work as well, we get them onto Dynamics as part of that, and they're on then the 3 Microsoft clouds, then that we can expect to see that Azure spend double in the following 12 months. It's quite easy to unpick that, because actually a lot of what MSPs have tended to do is to drive their Azure spend, their cloud spend, cloud infrastructure spend is driven by the fact that they took stuff that was on-premise and put it in the cloud. They didn't drive necessarily additional consumption. They basically just switched it from one place to the next. And actually what we need to be able to do and to help MSPs understand is, well, how do you drive that consumption? How do you do things that are going to make those customers use more and deliver more benefit back to them? And as you can probably imagine, Dynamics has gravity for data. It creates data. Not only is that data, creating more of that data, it's of a really, really high quality. It's your customer data. It's who bought what, how much did they pay for it? Can we sell them some more? Can we service them better? Can we go back to them and say, you bought this 6 months ago, 12 months ago, would you like to buy some more, or it might have run out? So that data piece that comes out of Dynamics is essential for driving the other things that our MSP partner communities really want to look towards, and actually are back in their lane. That's what they know, that's what they understand. But also we can look at churn, which I know is sometimes a little bit of a dirty word, but this is where we as Pax8 look at our partner community as, how can we help them reduce risk? We know it's great to sell more to keep filling the bucket, but if the bucket has a huge hole in the bottom of it and it's all flowing out, then actually fundamentally you're in the same place. We know that the average churn across our not our MSP community, the MSP community globally, is somewhere between 10 to 15%. That's an awful lot of customer movement. But when we start to look at Dynamics, the churn is less than 5%. In fact, in many instances, it's less than 3%. So Dynamics is a beachhead. It allows you to build other things and to sell other services, and it protects a lot of what you've got. Now, how are we going to help you? And this really is part of, and as you'll see from the next slide, and I realize that this today is not a full-blown presentation about Launchpad, about how it's going to work and how we're going to help you. Fundamentally, what we allow and what we're looking to help you do is to become a Dynamics partner without the heavy lift. When Pax8 acquired Bamboo Cloud, and part of the rationale and reason behind that was, one, to help you all as MSPs to be able to talk Dynamics, to be able to have a foot in that game with regards to, that foot in the game, I'm thinking about football, apologies, but the foot in the game of where those organizations are at, and being able to talk to them and being able to start to bring Dynamics into the mix. And part of that rationale was Bamboo Cloud won Microsoft's World Partner of the Year 4 times over. What we've done is taken that learning, taken that IP, and we're bringing that to you as MSPs. We're bringing that to you in a number of different guises that's really to help you understand how you can address that Dynamics need within your customers. Interestingly, the Dynamics need in your customers, and we look at across that modern work business, less than 5% of them are using Dynamics. So there's a huge base, there's 95% of your customers are not currently using Dynamics. They're using something else that's provided by a third party, which is often not supported by you as an MSP. So that's a huge market opportunity, particularly when we then start to say, actually, if we can land Dynamics, we'll help you drive more Azure, we'll help you drive Copilot and AI solutions off the back of that. And our messaging around Launchpad is on a number of principles. The big part of this is how we help educate the customer, because we recognize that it's a big lift to turn you into a Dynamics partner, to be able to give you all of that learning that's needed to be able to talk Dynamics, to talk finance and talk accountancy. So we can provide the resources where the customer can actually understand a lot of that themselves. They have a digital customer journey. We can help you uncover those opportunities. We can teach you what you need to understand and the questions to ask. These questions that we talk about are business-led questions. How do you help them grow? What problems do they have in their business? Have they got issues collecting cash from their customers? Have they got issues with managing the stock in their warehouse? We can give you some of those insights as the kind of things we know all SMBs suffer with. And that teaching part also allows you to create and understand lots of other opportunities. Part and parcel of this is not just about Dynamics, it's being able to have a business-led conversation with your customers. So a big part of this is how do we help you uncover and teach and understand how to start that conversation, how to start to elevate your conversations within your customer base. And then in the background, this is really Pax8 and Pax8's special sauce. It's why we've won World Partner of the Year as Pax8, is our ability to co-sell with you, our ability to help you and stand there with your customers and help guide them through the process. And then as Pax8, we can then deliver and support those customers in lockstep with you as a partner. But there's actually a second part to this journey as well, which takes it to a whole other level, is because if you want to, we can hand over the machine that allows you to do the delivery and the support. What we built as Pax8 and what Launchpad is automated. It's a real, true, in-your-face example of what technology can do when you drive automation and use AI in its most physical of forms to help guide a customer. So that process that we allow you to help and go through is really how do we educate you, how do we teach you, how do we support you. We can do it for you or we can show you how to do it. But this ultimately allows you to go on that journey and to move from being focused on modern work and Azure and gives you that extra step up to say, actually, I want to be a partner that can be relevant to my customers in that business application space. And by being relevant in that space, I'm going to be relevant in data and AI as well. So I'm instantly starting to capture that extra 50% of wallet share that my customers are spending elsewhere. And I think we see this as something that we recognize is kind of a bit left field for many of his partners, but a big part of what we're talking to you about around this OneCloud is to how do we help you grow? We can help you sell more of the same, and actually that will keep turning the dial, but this is actually a way that changes that lockstep. This is why the partners that move into this environment grow 30% faster than the other partners that don't. It's because it drives growth and it drives what you're good at. And I think on the last slide, you'll be able to see how you can actually see this and see the visibility of this. It's in the marketplace. You can start to understand this. There's a huge amount of resources and capability that sit in the background of this. And we're really excited to bring this to you all as a partner community to help you move into this space, to help you understand that Dynamics is not something to be feared. It's something that we can help you with. We can do this for you. And actually the end game is then how do you grow your business? So what do you think, Rex and Bessie? Can I sign you up?
I signed up a long time ago. I'd like to talk a little bit about internal use rights that the partners already have for Dynamics. Maybe talk a little bit about Dynamics and Sales Pro, Sales Enterprise, like that's part of the Biz Apps. And then as a follow-on question, so you can kind of set it up, I'd like you to talk a little bit about how we're there in an enablement role to help the partners take on a new practice, a new Dynamics Biz Apps practice, and we're there to help deliver the service while they're coming up to speed. But ultimately, we'd like to make sure that they're ready so we can hand that service delivery over to them as they gain competency.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to Dynamics, as you kind of touched on. There's a lot of different components. I think actually one of the things we see quite a lot is when we start to talk to an MSP, there's an element of this of drinking your own champagne. The vast majority of MSPs, actually, their accounting platform, their CRM platforms, are maybe not what they should be. They're almost a perfect representation of their customers. They'll use Teams, they've got those components within their business today, but actually, a lot of MSPs will use something like QuickBooks that's often on premise. They'll use some older technology to do their accounting, and their CRM perhaps may not be up to speed. Microsoft includes a lot of internal use rights as part of a lot of the credentials and competencies that Microsoft provides. So the first thing we often see with partners is, well, actually, why don't you drink your own champagne? Why don't you use this yourselves? Because this makes it very easy for you to understand what it can do, how it's going to work, what value it's going to provide to you as a partner that enables you to understand then how do you take that out to your wider customer. I think what we find also is that some of the big parts of Launchpad particularly is the fact that it's an automated delivery mechanism. The reason why it won so much was it's not the traditional model. It's actually in lockstep with what the customer wants. The process of deployment and support is automated and delivered digitally. So this isn't about training lots of people to do lots of consultancy and to treat things in the same way as you would have done historically. This is actually about using tooling, using a digital customer journey to help guide those customers through the process. So we're not necessarily going to the customer and saying, hey, let's build you a bespoke solution that involves lots of professional services, lots of knowledge, and lots of cost. Launchpad is, hey, why don't we use the technology as it's being built? Why don't we help you use it straight out of the box? It's much more cost effective. It's very easy to support, and it's much, much faster. But also for our MSP community, with us helping you do that from a Pax8 perspective, if you imagine what we've built is a machine that does that. It's a tooling machine. Rather than using people to do that, we've built a machine that does it. We can also hand over the keys to that machine to you as partners as you go on your journey to become a Dynamics partner. So if you want to start from just selling, just where we in effect do it for you, we can help you with that. And then we can take you on that journey and then start to hand over the machine and say, hey, this is how you use it. This is how you do it. This is how you get to the end point. This is how you become a fully fledged Dynamics partner. It's a very, very quick and easy way to add Dynamics into your portfolio. It's a very quick and easy way to be able to be relevant in that space, which drives the other workloads.
I have a question in chat from Paul. Maybe we can put that up on the screen. So Paul's asking, are there any internal use rights for Bam Boom? And I'm going to change that a little bit to mean Launchpad. But any thoughts on that?
We can help you if you're an MSP. We can certainly help you get up to speed, and I think this is a big part of that. So us being able to help you, and this is where Bam Boom Cloud was famous as a Dynamics partner. As I said earlier, a lot of the partners when we first worked with the partner, quite often the partner looked at it and then realized, actually, this is what I've been missing all my life. Actually, this is the bit that helps our business as an MSP work more efficiently, more effectively. It helps us. I mean, to coin our phrases, helps us operate more efficiently and reduces our risk. Because as an MSP, many of our MSPs, and we all know this, I've been one, we suffer the same issues that most of our SMB customers have. The ability to operate efficiently, get orders out the door quickly, make sure we get paid on time, make sure we understand who's paid us, who hasn't, who's bought what, where from, when do we have to deliver it. So actually, that whole process of us helping a partner is something we love to do. It's actually quite often the first step of the journey that helps those partners be able to understand what Dynamics can do, not just for them, but for their customers, and to drink their champagne straight out of it. It may not be quite as sexy as a lot of the Copilot deepfake type stuff that we talk about and some of the security stuff, but it's sexy if you're really concerned about where's your money going and how are you going to make more of it. And that's at the core of it, what Dynamics does. It manages the business It manages the money and the funds, which allow you to do fun things afterwards once you've got those all under control.
Yeah, so in short, Bamboom did a lot of work to automate the rollout of a Business Central implementation. Kind of a little bit of survey up front, and it just provisions licenses, configures it, rolls it out, and the end customer is ready to start using it. And through Pax8
Yeah,
ProServices and Launchpad and some Academy enablement, we're providing that to the partner community as a, to help
yeah, and
drive more
it's a
Dynamics
real
revenue.
it's a really unique proposition, particularly in this space. I think we're all super excited about this ability to be able to help MSPs as be able to go on that journey and to understand what Dynamics can do for them. Particularly when we say, well, we look at actually what we know they want to do more of what they're familiar with. This adds a whole other string to their bow, and we know that this will have a huge impact on how they get to keep their customers, how they reduce their risk, how they grow as an organization, potentially 30% faster than everybody else because they've got that extra cloud in there. But it also elevates their conversation with their customers. It allows them to have a conversation about how's the business going, to talk to the C level within their customers, as opposed to just IT, where they're seen sometimes as a service center who is delivering a service that keeps the lights on. This is really about how do we help them elevate their conversation. And money is usually the bit that focuses the mind.
Yep. And Rob, can you just tell us a little bit about how you can get started? I know we have just one more slide on just
Yeah, there's a
if you're
slide on
interested
next.
in this.
Yeah, so there's lots of different ways. I mean, as an MSP, I'm sure you have a contact within Pax8. You can go to this link. I think this will be on the screen in a moment. Fill it in. Start to go on that journey. Start to understand. And this isn't just about Dynamics. It's also about OneCloud. It's understanding how do all the different workloads work together. When we start to look at how an MSP is going to grow efficiently, you can keep doing more of the things you're comfortable with, but one of the big parts of the OneCloud story, and particularly where things like Dynamics and Copilot and security, and we've just seen some new security SKUs come out, a lot of them is understanding how the dominoes fall. And actually, for example, if you do Dynamics up front, it will automatically mean that the domino will fall for more Azure. That conversation means you've got more data, which will then result in more ability to sell data and AI solutions. It also means you've got more data that needs securing, so you can sell more security solutions. So it's about understanding and understand the way those dominoes fit together and how you can help you take your customers on a journey and be more strategic with them. And we as Pax8 are here to help, and particularly from an academy perspective, ProServices perspective, weaving that all together. This is a big part of our value proposition as Pax8. We look forward to helping you into the future.
Thank you so much, Rob, for joining us. It was great to have you on and for us to learn a lot. I know Rex is already really involved, but I'm learning a lot. I know everyone listening is learning a lot about Dynamics and OneCloud. So really appreciate you being on the show. Next up, we have our sales pitch with Keith. So let's take a look at that.
As I wrote this episode of Sales Pitch, I realized, wow, I'm old. I wanted to put together a sales pitch highlighting some of the lessons I've learned along the way from my career. As they say, the road of life is paved with successes and failures. One thing I learned while playing baseball was that there is a lot of failure along the way, but that didn't mean I stopped perfecting my own game. In business, it's the same. So whether you're a salesperson who's perfecting their own career or you're an entrepreneur who bravely decided to start your own company, this episode's for you. So let's touch all the bases on how you can improve your sales and growth for your MSP. Number one, as Nike says, just do it. Don't be afraid to take chances and don't hold yourself back with some sort of limiting belief that's around selling or growing your business. Number two, Goya, Goya. That stands for get off your. If you want to add clients, you have to make it happen. No one else is going to. Don't just wish it'll happen. make it happen. 3, look at prospecting like exercise. If you want to get healthy, you need to pick an exercise you enjoy, right? No one really likes exercising, but you got to do what you enjoy. Otherwise, you're just not going to do it for a long period of time. Prospecting is the same. Whatever makes you successful at having conversations with prospects, do more of it. Then add other prospecting tactics as you go along. You must be consistent. 4, learn from each encounter, whether it's a sales engagement or you're developing your employees. Ask yourself, what did we do well and what could we have done better? What can I do for my family, my employees, and myself each day to improve my business? I've made plenty of mistakes along my career. One piece of advice, own up to them and learn from them. I've also had a lot of success. Celebrate them. Enjoy those successes with your team and the people that you love. Journal or get a mentor to improve your mindset to reduce those limiting beliefs. Have daily non-negotiables to reduce clutter off your plate. Reduce those time-wasting distractions and focus on the things that will help you grow your business. Lastly, enjoy the ride. Have fun with what you do. As stressful as business can be, take a breath, laugh, and enjoy the moments. Thanks for tuning into my sales pitch. I hope I'm helping you along with your career and with your business. Play ball!
Well, what a great sales pitch. Thank you so much, Keith. And thank you for watching. Make sure to check us out in 2 weeks from today on March 25th when we discuss hiring in 2025. Remember, we are live every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're always on demand. So don't forget to subscribe and like us on our YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye.